I never thought I'd fall for someone like him. My doctor, Dr. Carter, was everything I hadn't expected. Cold, distant, and all business. His professionalism was almost intimidating. Every appointment felt like I was just another patient to him. He would barely look up from his notes, just rattling off my diagnosis and treatment plan in a monotone voice. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was invisible, a number on a chart rather than a person with feelings. I tried to make small talk at first, hoping to break the ice. Maybe if I could get him to laugh, or just show a hint of warmth, our visits wouldn't feel so uncomfortable. But he was always so curt with me. Brief, efficient answers that left little room for anything else. It was like hitting a wall every time I tried. As weeks passed, I started to dread my appointments. Was it something I had done? Why was he so distant? I'd walk into his office with my heart racing, only to leave feeling empty, wondering if I'd ever get a chance to know the real Dr. Carter. His professional exterior was so unyielding that I began to wonder if maybe all doctors were like this. Was I just unlucky to be paired with him? Then, one day, something unexpected happened. It was a regular checkup, and Dr. Carter was doing his usual thing, examining me with detached efficiency. But as he was scribbling notes, his eyes caught the book I had left on the chair beside me. Without missing a beat, he asked, "What's that you're reading?" It was such a simple question, but the way he asked it. For the first time, there was something there. A shift in his tone, a subtle change in his expression. His voice softened, and his gaze lingered on me for a moment longer than usual. It was as if, in that brief moment, I wasn't just another patient, I was someone worth noticing. That single exchange was a crack in the wall. I could see it now. The professional distance wasn't just his personality, it was a shield, a way of protecting himself. And in that moment, I saw a glimpse of something more, maybe even a little warmth. We started talking more after that, slowly at first. The conversation veered from the usual clinical talk to books and movies, hobbies, and even our favorite coffee spots. I began to notice the little things. The way he smiled just a little when he talked about his favorite medical journal, or how his eyes softened when I spoke about my own life. There was a vulnerability there, buried beneath that cool, professional exterior. And slowly, I found myself looking forward to my appointments. I'd dress a little nicer, hoping he'd notice. I'd try to keep the conversation going, to share little details about my life, just to see if I could crack open that shell even more. It became a game of sorts, a challenge to make him feel something beyond the walls he'd built. The more we talked, the more I realized that this distant doctor I'd initially been frustrated with was, in fact, someone with a lot of depth. He was kind, but it was hidden beneath the weight of his demanding job. I could tell that his coldness wasn't a reflection of who he was. It was a defense mechanism, something he'd built to protect himself from the emotional toll of his work. Then, during one appointment, something shifted. He sat down across from me, not standing by his desk like usual. He looked me in the eyes and listened, not just as a doctor, but as a person. There was no rushing this time, no professional distance. He asked me about my day, about my interests, as though he genuinely cared. For the first time, I felt seen. It was like he was finally taking the time to get to know me, and I felt this rush of connection, something I hadn't experienced with him before. From that point on, our interactions were different. They were easier, more effortless. We shared more personal stories, and I learned things about him that I'd never expected. A love of painting, a quiet sense of humor, a passion for music. It was like he was slowly shedding his layers, and with every conversation I found myself falling for him. The more I got to know Dr. Carter, the more I realized how deeply I had fallen for him. His cold exterior was just a barrier, a shield, against the chaos of his world. Beneath it was a thoughtful, caring person who had been hiding in plain sight. And as our conversations became more open and real, I found myself wondering if maybe he felt the same way too. I learned a lot from my time with Dr. Carter. It taught me that sometimes the people who seem the most distant have the most to offer if only we take the time to see them. it also made me realize that love can be found in the most unexpected places, even with someone who initially seemed to have no interest in you at all. Have you ever had an unexpected connection like this? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below.